Boom chakalaka, we're live. Doing well, man. Before we go any further, how you doing tonight, brother?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Man, we were just saying before we went live, since the last time we spoken in public, there's been a shitload of change in the world, man. So I'm going to hand that over to you, man. What's your thoughts? What do you think? What's your thoughts on the election to start with, man? Let's start that place.
I think I kind of figured it was going to happen that way for a reason, though. Uh, I think this whole Brexit Euro thing, all of that needed somebody in charge, and that's why they're going to put this guy to steer the economy to either make them get in line or get out of the way.
Yep, mate. Go on.
No, I was going to say, if you think about it, your president, my president, your whatever, nothing they really do affect us down to our everyday lives. Very little, anyway. However, he can make a lot of noise, and he's good at that. So we're going to see what he really does.
Well, man, and never in our lifetime, and that it can be argued, probably never in the history of your part of the world, man. It's been a complete outsider, and whatever anybody's thoughts are, you know what I mean? This guy has come from nowhere, and I mean, it's gonna, like you said, dude, it's going to be interesting to see how much of what he was talking about was bombastic, and how much of it gets to be done, and that's going to be an interesting perspective. But man, what I want is kind of, on a professional level, as a sense, dude, I watched his and I think this is one of the things that really separates my part of the world from your part of the world. I could never imagine Theresa May. Well, it would never happen here. Theresa May being the leader of the country and Corbyn being the leader of the opposition, being put in a room and literally roasting each other. Now that's a very American thing, dude. And I love it. I think it's brilliant. So I watched the Clinton Trump roast, man, and that, from my perspective, dude, not being a professional comedian by any stretch of imagination, I thought that Trump just wiped the floor with her, man. He was absolutely hilarious, and she was just left there astounded. Now, I don't know if you saw it, and if you did, what's your perception on both of them, man?
I saw it.
Go on.
I saw it, but Trump is a regular everyday guy. So he's bound to sit down, drink a beer, and tell a few stories. Whereas Clinton, she's a politician. She was totally out of her element participating in that. Totally out of her element. And it showed how uncomfortable she was. How can you be uncomfortable at an event that's supposed to be fun?
Exactly, man. And that's an interesting insight you have there, because, as I said, it would never happen over here. We would never get the two of our leaders to do it. But man, this is an interesting kind of question I have with you, man, because this is one of the perceptions I have of. I mean, the British humour is kind of, I mean, I suppose most cultures are like this, but we kind of do see ourselves as very kind of no holds barred, and we will literally take the piss out of each other, for want of a better word. But we have we have no kind of culture over here of roasts. They're not something you don't go down to a local comedy club and there's a roast battle going on. But it's massive in your part of the world, man. So my question to you is this something that's crept into the American culture, or is it something you've always known? Was this something that you did particularly in the school level, and it's just moved up to now it's seen in the wider public, or was this always part of American culture, the roasting thing?
Always a part of American culture. The way we see it on TV now is a bit different than me growing up. For instance, I grew up poor, so the kids had a field day picking on me every day, and that's really what the roasts are here, where you get offended to yourself, but you don't let it show. So it's supposed to be good natured. However, that's the one time you can really hit hard and no one really get mad. But outside of those roasts, you wouldn't hear any of those people repeat any of those statements. So
well, that's got big. Well, I was just going to say that begs the question, man. Have you ever done it as on your comedian level, being a professional? Have you ever done a roast?
No, I have not because I don't pick on paying customers. Uh, if you start doing that with customers, they won't come back, and they might wait out in the parking lot with an attitude. So on TV, it's controlled environment. Uh, Doing that to somebody that just gave you $20, not a good idea.
See, this is the fascinating vein I want to go down, man. Because I mean, it's this is one of the things because you just hit you hit that nail upon the head there. I've always considered with this because the thing about in the roast situation, as you said, I mean, if you obviously get into that situation, you're open for all abuse and you can give and take as much as you want to do. But in a country where, like you said, man, people have access to guns. I mean, doesn't I don't know how that works, man. Does it? Because it's kind of like you can be really kind of vengeful with what you say, but then you kind of like, as you said, you walk in that tight line that guy will not find it funny and just decide to take this out onto another level. So, how when you have been in that situation, man? I mean, again, I suppose it plays to a wider level when you're up on stage. Does that ever cross your mind? Do you ever sort of think, oh, a bit? I know you say you don't pick on the audience, but are you ever worried that you may say, like, for instance, a rape joke or a joke that someone may get really offended by, walk out and they're walking back 10 minutes later with their husband saying that guy over there? I mean, does that ever cross your mind?
No, it doesn't. And I really think here in America, when you go to a comedy show, you open yourself up for that type stuff. You just hope that it's not malicious. You know, if I did make a joke on someone and everybody laughed, I would leave that person alone for the rest of the show. I wouldn't want to overdo it. But on TV, they looking for ratings. Who can say the nastiest, most foul thing and make people laugh at the same time? So when it comes on regular time, 8 o'clock, they censor it. They beep everything. But if you watch the midnight version, it's 100%.
No, I mean, again, I mean, not that you would know particularly, but from your sort of understanding of things, I mean, do you think that the culture that you just spoke upon there, like you said, I mean, dude, we spoke about it before in previous conversations that that whole thing about growing up poor, you do have the shit ripped out of you, for want of a better word. But do you think that's going on right now? I mean, because we live in a culture where everybody's easily offended, particularly the millennials. They're very easily offended, and I've just spoken upon about there's that danger, and now we've got this whole wider thing of the social network where you can almost get gangs of people just to mentally pick on you. So do you think that still goes on? I mean, if you would walk back into the streets to where you grew up and the same sort of areas, and you saw the same sort of poor kid, that J.R.Bill who's an 8-year-old, do you think he would still be partaking in that, or do you think it's just that's now sort of dying a death with this encroaching, almost political correctness, or wanting to sort of stamp out on what people can say and can't say?
Well, here really the only place the political correctness comes in part is on I guess on a more public level. You and your friends, you can roast each other, say what you want to say all the time. No one to get offended. And you bring up the same stories over and over and over, and no one gets offended. However, when you do meet strangers, it's more a matter of, do you really care if they get offended? If you care, then you don't say it. But if you don't care, or you just want to smack somebody, throw away. But I would say more than not, people are just not going to do it. They're just not. I do sometimes, but only the friends.
But don't you think that's a bit of a regression, as maybe, man? Because this is what we've spoken many times upon this, and like you just said there, when you're amongst your friends, and you should have that complete ability. But if that's getting lost, my friend, I mean, okay. I mean, I'm sure you've got many stories that, like you say, when you're out in the, there in the army and you're out in whatever part of the world, you and you're in a tight situation, you've got to have that whole ripping the shit out of each other, because it's that part of looking after each other's thing. But if kids have been mollycoddled to the point where they're such little precious snowflakes that they can't say any of this, dude. I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's quite a sad statement of how much we regress, really, because that shit. I mean, I don't know how you feel, but I've always felt, and nothing should be off the table, man. Nothing. When you're in a group, when you're in that situation, nothing. And I mean that. And I've been in situations where literally, they don't give a shit about what race you are. They'll give a shit. They'll in fact, it's the other way around. They will pick on every little deformity, and they will just hack away at that. And and great for it. And that's what I'm saying. And I've seen now that kids who I knew when they were little do that when they're young, and they're still the tightest friends, 30 years down the line. And I think that's a really kind of, a testament to what I'm speaking about. But I say, when you say that, I don't know, man, it makes you sort of feel a bit like, oh shit, if we regress that point, that kids can't have that, because they're missing something. We're not going to have the future J.R.Bills, man.
And that's kind of sad, but everything goes through cycles, I grew up in an era where we fist fought. Maybe guns didn't get introduced till I was a late teen. But I'm sure other people grew up where they caught the guns 10 years earlier or 10 years later. So it's really just in phases, my kids are, let's see, how can I put this? My kids are mischievously way behind everybody else. I was their age. I had played in fire, joy-ridden in my uncle's car without his knowledge, drank some of this, smoked some of that, but my kids have done none of that. Not because I don't let them. They're just not into that. They got the internet. They don't have time to play in fire. They got Xbox. They don't have time to do other stuff. It's just phases, man.
It is, man. This is the thing. This is the duality of it. Because on one side, you think that's great. I mean, I think that's a sign of intelligence. I'm glad that kids aren't running around getting like we were, man. Getting behind the wheels of cars, pissed out of our heads, and just running around the streets like savages, man. We were savages, dude. And in some ways, you think that's good. I don't. But exactly, as much as it's a good thing on one side, there is an element miss, man. And I think this is one of the. I don't know, man. We spoke about this last time, and I really sort of contemplated after our last conversation, thinking how much kids, particularly in our parts of the world, are missing out on just not having to struggle, man. And I think there's a real, there really is an element in this shit, man. And I don't know. I think it's shape put it this way, everybody I know, every great creative person, every musician, every person that I find inspiring, all had a fucked up childhood, man.
Yep. And that's where the perseverance comes in. If you've never had to struggle, you don't know how to persevere. Not that it's anybody's fault, but you just have that group of people that we're raising right now that eat 3-4 times a day. I can't say that, or get everything that you put on the Christmas list. I can't say that, you better pick something, but it's just different. It's different. But yeah, like you said, it's a good thing. They're not disrespectful. They clean up their rooms. You don't have to tell them to do stuff. But at the same time, they're missing out on sneaking and drinking beer and trying a cigarette and the little stuff we did.
Yeah, man. And again, I mean, it's always around this time of year. It always makes me focus on this. I mean, when I was a kid, I loved Christmas because it was the one time of the year you were guaranteed to get something. You were going to get a gift. It was like, But now, kids, as you know, man, and you got kids you're under that age. What haven't they got, dude? Most kids have got everything. They've all got
Yep.
iPhones and stuff like that. Hence, Christmas is just another day. And you think it's I don't know, man. It reflects back to what I was just saying before. Okay, I wouldn't want to go back to the 60s and the 70s and then the 80s when I grew up, and it was, man, I mean, I could speak upon that for ages because
Right.
I wouldn't want to go back to that shit, man, when there was none of that. Oh, man, they were, like you say, dude, it was horrendous times. But as much as I wouldn't want to go back there, there is a lesson from that, man. And that's one of those things about it. It doesn't matter how much money you got, but it's
Nope.
kind of like you can almost the enjoyment of having a struggle, man, and having to do what you've spoken upon, do things to yourself, man, and kind of think, okay, that's half the joy of life, in it, just making shit for yourself and battling through.
Yes.
And you don't always win, man, but it's that's part of the joy of life, isn't it? Because I've always thought this the other day, man, and I think
Hmm.
it's really, really reflective of what you just said, because if everybody that doesn't do that, man, and almost becomes passive in life, I think, shit, man, they need to be put on a boat and put into a war zone, dude. Because it's kind of like you don't know how fucking lucky you are that you
Right.
get you have the. And that's I'm more and more kind of relevant of this. And not that I want to put anyone into poverty and shit conditions, but people do not realize how lucky they are, and then they go and spoil their kids and think they're doing all the best for their kids when they're
Everything.
missing the best thing about what it was to be a kid.
Hmm. It's like they forgot. That's really
Hmm?
what it is. Parents have forgotten. Uh, but uh, babysitters now are digital. Uh, Barney and Cartoon Network and Dora. They watch. They are babysitters. You sit a kid in front of that TV for hours, and that's what people do now.
Yeah,
So
man. I mean, again, I, th- I often think about this, man. And I think, I wonder what it's like from your position as a star gets on stage and makes jokes and stuff. But dude, just imagine, put yourself, the 15-year-old or the 14-year-old J.R.Bill. There you were, dude. You were running around the streets. Imagine that same kid now, man. I was thinking this the other day. Look, the average 12, 13-year-old has got access to stuff on his phone that I'm put it as a male to male example, man. I remember when I was, my early teens, man. Just seeing a Playboy magazine or a Penthouse was an adventure. That you had to go through some right hoops or be a bit dodgy and know somebody who knew somebody. But now kids have got it all on
yep,
their phone, man. And as much as we can look down at this generation coming on, going, they don't know what's going on. Just try to imagine what it's like for them. So they've got it all, man, and they've got. I think they've had too much too early. But what do we do about that? Do we just say, "Well, no, we're not. We're going to stop at this point because it ain't going to stop shit." I mean, this stuff.
right,
This stuff is, man. Let's take this one example. Porn, man. It's going to go from being porn on the phone to soon we're going to have sex robots. To I mean, this shit is coming, man. And I always
yeah,
think this. I always about the kids. Like I want to imagine growing up in the world where they are now. They're not allowed out. All the things we've spoken upon. They've got free access to everything. No wonder they're dried out kids, man. I can't imagine what it'd be like. I mean, I don't know, man. Because half, as you say, I mean, when I was a kid, half the joy of life is almost trying to get things they're out of your reach. The girl, the bit of alcohol, the odd little doobie if you could get hold of that. Whatever you could get your hold of, it was always the journey towards getting something that you didn't have before. But that steps have just been completely closed for people now, man. And that's
yeah.
when I see adults my age getting going like, oh, these kids, you think, well, hey, try putting yourself in their position. I can't imagine how hard it would be.
Me either. I could not because uh, we looked in encyclopedias. Like you say, for us to get our hands on a Penthouse or a Playboy, more than likely about 20 or 30 people had already touched it.
Hmm.
Uh, and it went from somebody's uncle to somebody's cousin, some of the pages being missing, So, uh, to have it right there, to me seems overwhelming. If I had porn like it is now back then, I don't know if I'd have made it. I don't know, man. I don't know if I'd have made it.
No, I mean, man, you jest about that, but I think that's true. I mean, I know. I mean, on a kind of sort of semi-serious level, man, that's why we got a lot of kids now, and they're all confused at 13 and 14 because they've had it all. Dude, I'm not being funny. I mean, I know it was like, I mean, I'm people don't
Right, I
change, man.
get it.
I swear, I swear people don't change. I mean, yeah, when we were all 15, I mean, yeah, if you went to my year at school when we were on that, second to last year at school, everyone you spoke to was, oh yeah, I've lost my virginity when I was 12, and everyone was all this jabba 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 jabba
Right.
jabba jabba jabba. But do you know what I mean? But the reality was, man, it was kind of like your late teens before you actually got down, to third, fourth base, and that was the real reality. But these kids,
Yep.
man, their scenes. I'm not being funny, but I didn't see. Do you know what I mean? I mean, just on this very subject, there were certain things I never saw as a kid until I was maybe into my 20s. Because even your Paul Mags didn't have it in. And now these kids, I mean, on a serious point, these kids are getting it on their phone, and that's what they're. I feel sorry for it, man. I feel really sorry for females because I think, well, imagine what it must be like.
Me too.
They've got their
Yep.
boyfriends looking and going, "Hey, these girls can deep throat, they can do this, that, and the
Yep.
other. Right, go." And then I man, it's like you said that as much as we laugh about it, it is really sad because
Hmm.
these kids are confused, and the thing that's happening in this confusion is they're losing
Yep.
the real element, which is the love element, man. And then that's they're losing
Yep.
that companionship and that love thing, man. And that's the sad element of it all.
It is. It is. I'll give you an even closer example. At work, uh, when I do go, uh, we have these we, we have these cubicles, and a guy can be 3 or 4 cubicles down, meaning he could actually lean back in his chair and look at you and talk to you. But he'll send a damn text message, you know, talking about what you're doing for lunch. Man, hey, I can see you, you know.
Hmm.
So in that aspect, you're absolutely right. I could not imagine being a female. Imagine being a female. For a whole lot of reasons other than that, but I just couldn't imagine. Uh, they have to be constantly bombarded with challenges that she probably couldn't even come home and talk to her mom about. Uh,
Hmm.
I could not imagine it. I could not imagine it. I just try to stay supportive and not ask a whole lot of questions. You know, I just try to watch behavior patterns and her mood and stuff like that. You know, you just don't know. Just don't know.
No, but do you know what I always thought about it? And this is why I will never get too doomtastic about the world, man. Because you can talk to many people and they go, "Oh, it's all doom, and we're all gonna be." And I'm like, man, okay, look how we came through, man. As I said before, we were savages, dude. We didn't have anything. We didn't have, we didn't have mobile phones. We had, computers were like something I read about somewhere that they existed somewhere. Do you know what I mean? We didn't have, dude. I didn't have like food we ate. Do you know what I mean? My diet was just literally meat, and rice, meat, and rice. Yeah. Now, do you know what I mean, man? And what I'm trying to say is, look at what we became out of that. So I think as much as everyone gets all doomtastic about the world, I think, hey, man, do you know what I mean? As much as as much as we just talked about the negative side, man, what a great world to live up as kids right now, man. That's the other side of it because you think, they're all eating better, doing things. It's it's just that reflection, man. I think this is one of the things is when it all comes down to it, I think, man, at times we can sound like our parents and go, "Oh, these kids, it's going to be the future." And you think, well, dude, how much do I sound like my dad now, man? Do you know what I mean?
You
It's
know, and I look at that right now. Last week I visited my dad, who's sick. By the way, not sick as far as any disease or anything, but he's probably not going to walk again.
mm,
Uh, he spent a lot of years in the army, jumping out of airplanes and doing other stuff, and it's starting to catch up with him in his mid 60s. So uh, he's in good spirits, but probably never walk again. Uh, and I say that to say this. Even when he was first going through the pain and all that, he had the internet to lean on. He didn't have to panic. He just typed in, "Hey, my legs hurt. What could that be?" And that led him to figure it out and go get it checked out. And luckily, he did it in time. So the kids do have a leg up on us. Having instant right away information is awesome. There is no bad part to that. How they use it, that's different. That's different.
Yeah, man, and I think you've spoken upon something which is always relevant this time of year, man. You know what I mean? Kind of what we've been speaking about. Just I'll say to everyone, just go and talk to anybody who's over 60, and just ask them to reflect what it was like, man. I mean, it must be hilarious. I always think of it the other way around. Think of all our parents, man, all sitting around and thinking, what these J.R.Bill and Tim sitting there whinging about how tough it was for them. They don't know jack shit, dude. When I grew up, it was completely different, man. I mean, so this is the point, as much as people think the life's full of crap and shit like that, and as much as they want to cry about who won a summer election, man, we got here. That's the point, dude. You're like you just said then. Your old man was jumping out of planes for years for the army. You've been sent to the part. You went back 2 generations to what my family grew up in. It was like I'm surprised I can even speak. I mean, do you know what I mean? I'm surprised I can even rub a stick together, dude. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of what I'm trying to say is, but we've got here. And that's really kind of inspiration. Now, I would turn this on to you, man. I'm fascinated to this one. You spoke about, obviously, your dad was in the military. You've been through the military. If one of your children came to you at 16, 17, 18 or whatever and said, "Dad, I want to join the military," what would your opinion of that be?
It'll be absolutely. I think America is weak in that policy. We're one of the few countries where it's not mandatory that kids go into the military. We have to register for a draft, but there hadn't been a draft since the 70s. And there's probably never going to be one. Too many people with too much money. But I would definitely want them to go. Even if they're not going to stay, I think all kids all around the world, men and women, should have to go through some form of military basic training just to get life skills. If you can master those, how to stay out of the rain, how to keep warm, how to treat blisters, how to help your buddy from breathe. If you can master that, you got life figured out almost.
Do you know you've hit upon something that I've always found really fascinating because as much as, dude, I nothing more to me than I talk about how it's all human beings and we've all got to we got to control is ourselves, and I do believe in complete freedom. But there is what you just spoke upon there, man. And I don't want to speak generalization, but particularly for the male species, man. I think you absolutely hit the nail on the head. But it becomes a very difficult question, which is why, like a lot of difficult questions, people just want to leave it aside and walk away. But okay, for people like me who are very much don't want the idea of some military man bossing my kid around to go and fight for a flag. To go and fight for another human being, but I like the discipline of it all. That would be a great one to do. That would be a great one to have, because we spoke upon this before. I mean, to me, it speaks upon this softness that we've got in our two cultures. Because as we say, every other culture I've been to in the world, there's initiation ceremonies for men. Yeah. Boys have to go out and initiate themselves, and that's been lost in our culture.
Now back to that point, when you talk about the males as far as the females, now I don't think that anyone anywhere in the world should have to fight. I do not. However, I do think they should have to go through the training to learn how to do so. If they want to stay in the military and make it a career or a couple of years, then so be it. If they want to return home and be losers or go to college or whatever, then so be that too. However, every human being walking this earth will have those basic survival skills. And that's what's important. That's what's going to move that next generation forward.
Yeah, dude. I mean, the reason I kind of focused on the male and the female one, I meant that, and I was very broad stroking it, but particularly there's a, and okay, hey, this is one of the things. It's genetical, man. I've been on this planet enough time, and I've seen. I don't, general again, broad speaking. The hashtag not everybody, but as a general one, males need that. They need to have that whole, as I said before, be tested. And I'm not talking about going out and beating each other with sticks and oh, look at me, I'm the big man. I mean testing yourself in nature and how much you
Mhm.
can survive. That's half the things you're talking about. How far can
Yeah,
that's that's one of the things. Like, so push yourself to the human physical limit. Like, so when you walk up the hill, they march you back down again. Get up there again. I can't do it. Yes, you
mhm.
can, and you will do
Yes, you
it. And
can.
when you do it, and when you do get to the other end, you think, hey, what's limiting me? So I think it's very
Right.
empowering on an individual level. So
Mhm,
I
mhm.
haven't been through it. What would you say the biggest lessons that you carried through from your days in that you carried through your life?
Uh, it's a few things. We learned a whole lot. I mean, we learned a whole lot. But a few things stick with you, such as the first general order is I will guard everything within the limits of my post and quit my post only when properly relieved. So if the war is over and no one has come to relieve you, you stay there. If you're hungry, got to use the bathroom, you're itchy, dirty, it doesn't matter. You stay there until you're properly relieved, or you'll be severely punished. Now, I use that every day. Uh, I had a contractor install some stuff in my home. He didn't do it properly. He wanted to make good on it, and I wanted him to. However, I squeezed him. I said, "Hey, for the inconvenience, you're gonna give me a couple $100 to take my wife and kids out." And he's like, "That's absurd." I said, "Well, I'll see you in court then." He said, "But I can fix it right now." I said, "Hey, you just insulted me by refusing to feed my family." So it cost us both some thousands of dollars, uh, but we went to court, and I still got the same judgment, and the same guy still had to come here and fix what he didn't fix the first time. All over uh, him thinking that I'm going to back down on my word. Period. I don't care. We can go to court. I don't care. I go to work every day. I got money. And he learned a valuable lesson that I think he already knew, but he thought he was the only one employing it, I guess.
Yeah, but that's exactly what I'm speaking upon, man. Because it's that whole pushing yourself to the limit, man. I mean, you spoke upon there how you on a practical, and maybe a mental issue. But is there any physical ones you've taken through? Did it change your diet or how particular disciplines you carry through? Or no, not at all.
Not so much, but I will tell you this. I was in a unit back in the year 2000 to 2002. And as a part of that unit, once, twice, depending on how they feel, we would walk, march, however you want to call that, 25 miles,
Mm.
carrying your equipment with the time limit. If you made it, everything was fine. If you didn't make it, you started over. So if you go 22 miles and you give out or you twist your ankle in 2 weeks, you know what you got to do? You got to go back to the starting line and walk 25 miles in 10 hours. That's a lot of walking when you're carrying stuff. So I know half my body weight for 25 miles without giving out. Uh, there's nothing uh, I can't do as far as that. There's no quit. I'll quit after 25 miles. But up to that point,
Yeah.
there's no quit. I've done it several times, so I know it can be done.
Well, man, I'm glad you speak upon this because, again, so many people can just take a number and they are marching for 25 miles, and then they listen to it and it goes in one ear and out the other ear, and 2 minutes later they've forgotten about it. Now that's why I have to stop and focus on that. I mean, I've had the experience of it's not to the same extent as you, but carrying maybe 30 kilos and climbing up a mountain and stuff, which is a 4-day trek, and it's nothing compared to what we did. But man, the physical, I will never, to the day I die, will remember them and my fate, how they felt at the end of every day, and
Yeah.
I'll never remember I mean, it's the physical stuff that, again, people, because it's the same thing. You put yourself to think, okay, what option have I got to do? Do I stop or do I carry on? But people, that's what I'm saying. When they hear these numbers, I say to my people, well, okay, how many people do you know in your circle? I mean, I'll chuck this to you. How many people do you know that could even walk 10 miles?
Right. Right.
With comfortable Nike shoes,
Yeah.
at no pace, and in nice weather. And this is the thing, my friend, and this is what I'm saying. I mean, it's not many people experience that and know what it's like, dude. And again, I mean, you said 25 miles, man. What's your memories from that, man? I mean, how for a start, how sore were your feet after doing that?
They were almost unusable. It's the mental part that gets you through it. When you have blisters on top of blisters and blisters that already have exploded, and but if you stop at mile marker 20, you're gonna have to start over. So unless my foot falls off and I can't pick it up and drag it, no way I stop. No way I stop.
So did I mean, again?
But,
Again, it's on a technical one before you go any further, man. You mentioned that you were given a time period to do that. So what was the cutoff point? We get to complete that.
you have 10 hours to do 25 miles. Now everybody carries a minimum of 30 pounds. However, if your job consists of other equipment, you have to bring that equipment, such as I was a radio guy. Radios require batteries, microphones, antennas, a carrying case, you name it. So add that weight to the 30 pounds that everybody has to carry. So the more high impact your job, the more weight you're carrying over the same course of 25 miles. And you can't cheat because they weigh you prior to and they weigh you after. So there's no cheating. You can't cross over lines because you don't walk in a circle. They drive you 25 miles out, drop you off, and tell you they'll meet you back.
Okay, I mean, dude. I mean, again. I mean, there's so many points that need sort of focusing on here. I mean, I take this as you mentioned, then you dropped into landscape and told that's the finishing point. I mean, obviously, there's no, again, as maybe I'm being completely naive, but there's no kind of road with lights and all that stuff, man. You're probably just told get there, and then you've got to navigate. So that's a whole different skill as well. And
now, right, for those you don't navigate, it's a design course because not everybody can do it. So they do have to go retrieve a lot of people. However, now there are times when we do land navigation where they put you in the middle of bumfuck and you got these tools you're supposed to use. But it's all easy and it's all a skill that they teach you at the very basic level. Anything you add to make it difficult, you're defeating yourself. They show you the most simple, basic way to do it. And if you follow that, the most moronic person can come out shining.
Yep, and I'd imagine one of the things you must completely be, drummed into is obviously, the whole I don't know what your, but again, dude, I'm not up on these words, but what your, is it platoon or your company says you, but you have to keep in, you're only as strong as your slowest man, or the weak,
Right.
you know, so you got to keep up that. So that's a great lesson to be learned, man. This is one of the things that's been forgotten about. That this people imagine that when you go into conditions like that, that it's all kind of every man's strong for himself, and then he will march ahead, and it's like yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's not, because you realise that, I say, you're only as strong as the slowest man. So then it's kind of almost like the psychology of how do you carry that strongest man through those situations? Because as you'd imagine, dude, I mean, the army's no different. The situations you're in, you're gonna, every situation a human's gonna be there. You're gonna have tall guys, short guys, guys who
Yep.
have got, you know. So again, you may be in a company like you, great, we've got 49 whatever great men, and they put this slow dumpy guy in. So you've got to manage that, because so these are all the small little lessons that you must have learned. And the
It
question I was
is.
going to say to you, when you're on this
Mhm.
march and you're doing this, are you under the I don't know, the mindset of thinking I could be at ambush at any point and there could be live rounds firing at me and they could come out and test you that way? Or is it kind of like, no, your mission is just to get to here to there and there's going to be no
Right.
kind of surprise attacks? I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know
In those the first, let me say this, not all are the same. However, the farther the distance, uh the more likely they just want you to be able to make it there. uh if you have to walk 25 miles and someone's going to attack you at mile 24, that's not really a realistic military scenario. If we were going to go that far to come into contact with someone, we take it in phases. We may go 5 miles today, 5 miles the next day, and plan that way. If And the reason we do it is if it's a life decision that says, "Hey, we're leaving. We're going to be over there, 25 miles away." You will be there, even the slowest guy, because when you do activities like that, there is no slow guy. Do you really want to walk off and leave the medic, or the one guy with the radio, or the one guy who knows how to fly the helicopter? Yeah, he's not a fast guy. He can't walk fast, but he's the only one who can fly that helicopter. Even if we all get there before he does, none of us can fly a helicopter. So we never have that mindset. You never go into it with a uh, uh, him, and him. It's one team, one fight. If one guy fails, we all fail. It doesn't show up that way on paper, but it shows up that way upstairs and in your heart. If you sat there and watched him fail, you know better than he is.
Mm.
If you knew he was a bad runner, walker, and you bothered not to help him, that may be the very guy that has to shoot somebody to save you. But if he's tired and winded because you didn't help him, then he may not be there to fire that shot to save your life. So it's no them, us, we, they. It's one team, one fight. But we let our hair down when we relax. We talk about all that stuff while we drink, while we eat, while we hang out, while we do whatever. But when we turn the switch back on, it goes right back to that. Uh, I wear this hat here. It says disabled veteran, and proud of it. That's too easy. I would not have wanted to do anything else while I was earning this hat.
Hmm. Man, and, you're absolutely right. I mean, there's a sort of supplementary question I'm going to ask you in a minute regarding, the veterans thing. But just while we're concentrating on, while we're here on that, on the March one, what were you doing for fuel? I mean, obviously, because obviously you got that balance between the amount of weight you're going to carry, so you've got to keep your kind of weight down, so you don't want to carry loads of chocolate bars and stuff like that. So did you actually do? What was your fuel?
Okay. When you go on control marches like those, they have sort of refueling stations every 3 or 4 miles. So they have fruit, fresh water, Just depends. But me and myself, you prepare by eating things that you know are going to sustain you. Peanut butter, for instance. That peanut butter, it'll stick to your ribs, but it'll jam you up. You know, you don't want to have to use the bathroom at mile 20. I promise you, you don't. Or when you're being chased. So things like peanut butter, granola, uh, peanuts, those things that give you that little extra boost. And I'll really tell you what gets you through it. Looking to your left and to your right and talking to the other guys that are doing it. Because you'll get 15 miles in and one guy is singing like a bird, like his feet don't hurt. And you think if he's older or younger than you say, if that old guy can be like that, I can do it. Or I'm not gonna let the little young fella outdo me. And you push on. That's all the fuel you need.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. And again, I, like I said, I wanted to speak about the veterans one because it's something that I've spoken to a few guests recently since our last conversation, and I was honestly, my friend, I was shocked by the amount of numbers of male, of suicides and stuff that was going on in the military, man. That it shocked me because one of the things that, and again, I'm not being naive and like, I'm dumb to the world. No, that's the point. I think I'm quite a smart guy in the sense of what I know about the world, but I've always kind of seen the American, of all the countries in the world, especially for, in the essence of free countries, have really kind of had this thing about the military, and they have this whole, far more than we do, this pageantry around it, and kind of big respect for the military and da 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 da. And when you hear numbers like that, and you hear this is never, I mean, again, go back to where we started this conversation about. I didn't hear this discussed once in the Clinton-Trump debates. I didn't see one of them two get up. I mean, Trump kind of danced around it a little bit, but none of them got up and said this kind of thing. And I would love to hear your thoughts on this because you're someone who's fought through this, and this isn't about whether the military's good or the military's bad or anything like this. This is however people may feel about the military, you're given sacrifice, and to be treated like that at the other end, which is what's causing all this. I mean, how do you feel about that, man? Because you paid. I mean, you stepped up to points where not many humans do. There are not many human beings that want to, put their body on the line and the means of death for their country. I mean, maybe it would never come across, but that was always an option in your job contract. Hey, most people going out at 9 to 5 aren't going to have a memo from their boss saying, "Oh, by the way, on Friday you've got to be shipped over to whatever." But how do you feel about this, man? I'd love to hear your thoughts, from someone who's done this, because I don't know. I in my situation, if I was in your position, I would almost feel. I can imagine. I'd feel a bit like let down and a bit upset, really, because you think, well, come on, man. If I've done this and I'm being let down by the people who put me there, so again, please. I mean, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this because I know it's a bit of an issue.
Okay. Just as a veteran, and being in America here, let me put it this way, real simple. Our elected officials are veterans. The majority of the people who make up the committees, like the Armed Forces Committee and Veterans Committee, those guys aren't veterans. So they could not know or have a true sense of what a veteran wants, goes through, needs, or anything of that nature. Now, with Clinton and Trump, they didn't talk veteran or veteran matters much due to the fact that neither one of them were veterans, nor know how a veteran would respond in a certain manner. Now, they do a lot for us. Anybody who says they don't, as far as government doing for veterans, they're misled. However, since there's a lot of pageantry, regalry, and all this kind of stuff by the military, are standards or steps you must take. If you're sick and they give you a doctor, if you don't have an appointment, you, regardless of who you are, what war you fought in, you have to go to the emergency room first. Being upset because you did this or whatever still won't get you seen unless you go to the emergency room. Now, once you get there, you can cut the fool and demand everything you want, but you can't get it until you go there. Veteran benefits like cash payments. If you don't fill out the proper paperwork and apply the proper documents that they ask for, you're not going to get service. It's just a fact of that type matter. Uh, are there entitlements? Sure there are. But are people lazy? More so than not. Uh, the big wigs, the politicians, again, most of them are not, and I say most of them are not veterans. They don't know how to respond. They listen to their advisors who may or may not be veterans. And at the end of the day, since they aren't veterans, it can't be a life choice for them because they really, in the big scheme of things, uh, don't have a dog in that fight.
Hmm. Well, okay. In the kind of I was about to say in the zeitgeist of the times we are, man. So you know, at the end of this week, you get a phone call and it's Mr. Donald Trump, and he's ringing up and saying, "Hey, J.R.Bill, I want you to come up to Trump Towers in New York, and I kind of, I want to speak to someone from the veteran, and there you go. I want you to tell me what can you do? What would be your reply to him, man? I mean, what would be your reply to him? To what's he not seeing, and what actions can be taken? If you there you go, you're in that room with Trump. What would you say?
Definitely, what we need with veterans and many other programs is the education portion of it. If you would bring people in groups of 10, 100, 1,000, and teach them how to fill out the form, teach them that if you don't have a social security card, you need to fill out this form and we'll help you get it. We don't have that kind of assistance because the volumes of people versus the number of workers. Those caseworkers, they have hundreds of people assigned to them. And for them to remember a name, a birthday, or what they told you last appointment, you sort of have to be delusional to think that they can invest personally in you. To them, it's just a job. Sad but true. But for any president or anybody in charge, set up some type of uh, program and make it so they have to do it. You cannot renew your driver's license until you participate in this training. No, we won't let you uh, do whatever until you participate in this training. If you want veteran benefits, you have to do 1, 2, and 3. And it's up to them or him to decide what 1, 2, and 3 are and explain how common you, that 70-year-old World War II guy, can get help by simply calling a human being. Hey, Tim, I have this application. I don't know how to fill it out. Would you look on yours at block number 6 and tell me what I'm supposed to write? That's what we
Mm.
need.
Yeah.
The literacy rate among older veterans is not there. Most of those Vietnam guys, they weren't brainiacs, or they would not have gone to Vietnam. Let's just be honest. They would have enrolled in somebody's college if they had the opportunity to, but they
Mm.
didn't. So those guys really didn't get that whole college look. They really just finished high school. So their literacy rate really made them the world's factory workers and the world's, warehouse workers, where they are smart people, but if we can give you a job where you only do 1, 2, 3, 4 things, we're not worried about you messing it up, right?
Mm.
So again, and not to talk about factory workers or anything like that. However, for everything there's a place. For everything there's a place. For veterans right now, that place is not at the very top. Women's health to me is at the very top. If we don't take care of women, there'll be no more males. Uh, so things of that nature. But veteran issues are not to be overlooked or pushed to the side or anything. However, uh, tell me how to do it properly, and I won't be upset with you.
Well, my friend, I hope that somewhere someone picks up on this and and runs with this because, as you know, I've been down many rabbit holes with the sort of like as we've spoken before, decentralized technology that's coming. And one of the things that when you were just saying all that, I was thinking one of the things about blockchain, which is what Bitcoin's based on, but the basis of what that's based on is a ledger that can't be changed because it's done and it's unhackable. And I'm just thinking that instantly covers that thing of like, wait, hey, I can't. For all those steps you're saying, I can't get this until I get that. That can be on a public record that no one can interfere with. The next step simply is like you say, it's just making that connection to, okay, this is the path this person should be on, and just making the connection. Because as I'm saying,
Mhm.
we can make this connection between me and you now. So hopefully these are things that I don't know. I feel hopeful about because I mean, even when you were saying here, I mean, I was just thinking, how long is it going to be before you have to even fill out forms? I mean, that to me seems a bit stupid that we even, like you say, that we're still filling out paper forms in the day
Yeah.
we are. So I don't know. It's like all these things. We can only hope it gets. We can only hope it gets better, and the only way to do that is to put these ideas out and let people know what's going on because that's how solutions are built. Now, man, time's rushing out, and I know that you're. We were just talking about then, dude. I mean, your better half's going to call you to go and eat, man.
Yeah.
So before we do wrap this up, man, there's a couple of things I want to speak about. I want to
Mhm.
preempt and wish you happy birthday for. Good old Christmas Day, man. So that's one of the ones I always remember, man, when your birthday is. So that's happy
Yep.
birthday for that one. For that one, man. Secondly, have you got any shows coming up between that anyone listening may or that.
Okay. No, I wish I had a show coming up. I tried to put one together here. I tried to put one together here before Christmas, but getting a facility that's adequate and comfortable for an audience is somewhat difficult sometimes. However, uh, I have a super duper plan for 2017. Uh, uh, I'm going to take my Christmas blessing and my new birthday number, and I'm at a point now to where I've always been 80% my job, 20% comedy. I'm at a point now to where I can 2017 go 60-40,
Mm.
and hopefully one day I can move past that. So what I'm saying is now is uh, I, I'm just a few short years from being entirely debt free from everything. Just a few short years. Then I think 2020 I can go 50-50 and wean regular work. So that's my goal, one day at a time. Keep coming on this show. Uh,
Well, no, do you know what I'm going to say to this, my friend? And this is something I repeat over and over again. And this is a truth of life that I've seen on my path. And this is why, and I don't speak out of your arse, and I'm not blowing smoke up your arse or anything like that. This is just true words. Right now, the very fact that you're having this conversation, and the very fact you're aware of this, is what I'm saying, is you're not only an early adopter, man. What we're talking about, and what you're even perceiving, is going to make. It's only going to be a matter of time when you're going to get all the rewards back for this. Now, I've always said this: so people who understand things early, they suffer at the beginning, but they get rewarded very, very. And what I'm trying to say to you, my friend, is that wave from someone who goes balls deep down it, that wave is coming very, very quickly, and it's huge, and it's gonna. And that's what I'm saying. All the people right now that are lined up, all the stars, all the people that we think are great, all the TV shows and all that, that's going to be swept away. And because people are like we've spoken upon many times, people are hungry for real comedy, real truth, real things, and this is where right now. Okay, we're talking in the 2016. I'm telling you, my friend, this is where like you would. I mean, it's a phrase over here. I think it's from the SES, and fortune honors the brave, and the fortune will come. And I don't mean in the sense of not only money, but just it will come, man. That's the very element of this conversation. Well, look, before I do wrap this up, I mean, before I do finish this off, well, for anyone maybe listening, what's your kind of parting message you want to take away from this, this whole conversation tonight, my friend?
First thing I want to say thanks for the platform. Again, you just don't know if even one person picks up on any part of the conversation or get a laugh, a chuckle, or it makes them think. Then you've more than done your part. So I want to say thank you for that. With 2016, I took it a day at a time. Uh, I solved a lot. I left a few things on the table. However, I can look in the mirror, look in this camera, and take off my glasses, and I'm 100% at peace with me. And I'm gonna take that into 2017. I lost a few friends, blocked a few people on Facebook, but as I get up here in a few seconds and go inside and eat dinner with my family, I'm at peace. Nobody will be angry at that table. Everybody's they will be in a minute when she ring the bell. They'll be looking at the door waiting on me to come in. So I appreciate you, man. Thank you for having me. I come back and do it anytime. And Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and Super 2017 to you.
Well, perfect, man. I couldn't have said it any better, my friend. Man, like I say, again, happy birthday to you, happy Christmas to you, man, and we'll speak soon. But wait, from over here, all over here in the Highlands of Scotland, so we're all over there, then the good old America and the US of A, man. I want to say, life is people, people.